The sound was so small it almost felt dangerous to notice. A faint cry, a child somewhere in the ruins, pierced the chaos. Stopping could get him killed. Every instinct screamed, move toward it, follow orders, survive. One step at a time, one heartbeat at a time. Life demanded it. And yet, a part of him hesitated. The streets were a graveyard of civilization. Rubble and shattered metal littered the ground. Rusted cars lay on their sides, windows shattered like empty eyes. Half-burned furniture jutted from what remained of homes. Broken window frames leaned precariously, groaning under the winter wind. Twisted market stalls sagged under the weight of debris. Winter's icy fingers wrapped around everything, slicing through even the thickest uniform. His breath steamed in the cold air, mingling with smoke drifting from distant fires. Dust settled in his throat, ash in his eyelashes. The faint groan of metal bending in the wind made him jump. Even the skitter of a rat over debris drew his attention. Every sound, every movement, every shadow was a potential threat. And yet something primal, human, pulled him forward. The cry came again, louder this time, closer. Heart hammering, he counted his beats, each one a hammer against his ribs. Frost bitted his fingers beneath thin gloves. Somewhere beneath the chaos, under shattered walls and broken streets, was a life he could not ignore. And yet he knew the rules. In war, there were no luxuries. Every second wasted could be the last. Every hesitation could cost more than his life. It could cost them both. Survival demanded focus. Survival demanded obedience. Survival demanded sacrifice. But not this time. Not now. He scanned the ruins, shattered walls, splintered wood, twisted steel. Crouching low, he flicked his eyes from shadow to shadow, calculating distances, imagining enemy patrols rounding corners, rifles raised, silhouettes sharp in the flickering light of distant fires. Then he saw it, a half-buried doll, its painted eyes frozen in silent terror. A child's toy, broken, stained. He swallowed hard. Silent witnesses of innocence lost. Silence followed, heavy, thick, dangerous. In war, silence is often louder than gunfire. One misstep, one whisper, and death could come suddenly. His squad pressed on, boots crunching over stone and ice, rifles ready, faces forward. None would notice if he faltered. None would look back if he stumbled. None would care if he hesitated. Their world demanded speed and obedience. And yet, despite every rational warning, the cry pulled him. It tethered him to something deeper than orders, anchored him to his humanity. He had a duty beyond his unit, beyond protocol, a duty to conscience. Step by step he moved forward. Snow crunched beneath his boots. Breath came in short, icy gasps that burned his lungs. Each heartbeat rattled against his ribs. One step, another. One step closer, and there would be no turning back. What if those 10 steps were enough to get him killed? A stray bullet, a falling brick, a patrol rounding the corner. Rational thought screamed, stay in line, follow orders, survive. But something primal, human, insisted he move. The cry was life itself, insistent, demanding action, demanding courage. He broke from the line, heart hammering, every instinct screaming he was making a mistake. Dust and smoke filled his nose, rubbed against his eyes, clung to his sweat-soaked hair. Every muscle tightened, every nerve coiled like a spring. He felt raw, exposed, vulnerable, yet alive in a way that only comes in moments that matter, moments when courage and fear collide. The doorway ahead was half collapsed, bricks still warm from shelling, the scent of baked stone and fire lingering in the air. Inside, dust, blood, silence. A tiny blood-stained toy lay buried in the rubble. The crying stopped the moment he stepped in. And in war, silence usually meant you were too late. Too late for some, too late for many. But not yet, not this time. Then he saw the child, small, filthy, curled into a corner, eyes wide with a kind of fear no child should ever know. Every instinct screamed to protect, but rules were rules. Civilians were off limits, no delays, no hesitation. Protocol demanded obedience. Yet the weight of a single innocent life anchored him in place. The world narrowed. Nothing existed outside that room. Nothing mattered but this moment. A shadow flickered across the wall. Enemy patrols were close, too close. One wrong sound, one wrong breath, and they'd both die. Behind him, the squad moved on, boots pounding over stone and ice. No one looked back. If he stayed, he would be alone. If he left, the child would die. The choice pressed down on him like a weight, heavier than steel, heavier than fear. He froze. Dust sifted through his hair. The faint scrape of distant metal reached his ears. The child whimpered, barely audible. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. He grabbed the child's arm and pulled. Bricks scraped his hands raw. Dust choked his lungs, curling into his throat with every breath. Every step felt like a gauntlet. Shadows shifted, alive with threat. Distant shouts grew louder, echoing like warnings. Pain shot through his knee, sharp and burning. Every instinct screamed, run, leave, survive. A patrol rounded the corner, boots pounding, rifles raised. He slammed them both against the rubble, barely breathing, counting each footstep as it passed. The child whimpered, clutching his jacket, lips pressed tight, eyes wide and unblinking. One sound, one misstep, death for both. He moved again, slow, careful, limbs burning, lungs aflame, teeth clenched, knees trembling. Every step a battle, a negotiation between survival and conscience. Every creak, every groan, every shadow held a threat. The wall above groaned, creaked, cracked, collapsed. Bricks exploded into dust, falling like rain. There was no more hiding. He burst through the narrow gap, dragging the child forward. Searchlights snapped on behind them, slicing through darkness like knives. Every step a gamble, every breath a chance at death. The night itself seemed to hold its breath as they ran, through shattered streets, over twisted metal, vaulting low walls, the child clinging to him as if life itself depended on it, because it did. Wind cut against their faces, smoke and ash stung their eyes. A near-miss bullet ricocheted off a wall, sending sparks into the air. Each second was a torment and hope intertwined. They made it out, but the night didn't end. Streets were silent, broken only by distant gunfire. Every step felt like a second chance no one had promised. He pressed the child close, feeling the small body trembling. Relief lasted only a heartbeat. Then the weight of his choice pressed down, heavier than gunfire, heavier than rubble still clinging to his hands. The squad had moved on. No one looked back. The child whispered nothing, clinging tighter, fingers gripping his sleeve, eyes wide, unblinking. A small shiver ran through him. That impossible responsibility stayed with him all the way to the end of the war. Decades later, he still woke in the night. Cries, rubble, shadows, smoke, orders echoed in his mind. Every sound, every shadow, every fleeting image transported him back to that moment, and he wondered, had leaving even one step behind cost more than lives? Some choices don't end with the fighting. Some faces never leave you. And some acts, small, silent, unseen, reach further than we ever know. Decades later, he was an old man, walking past a quiet village school. A small voice called his name. His heart skipped. He froze, memory crashing back, fear, guilt, hope, decades of wondering. The child he had saved, grown now, eyes wide and shining, ran to him, arms outstretched. Sunlight caught their faces, warmth cutting through the chill of memory. Memories of rubble, shadows, gunfire flooded back, but he saw only a smile where once there had been terror. "I never forgot you," the man said simply. The reunion lingered, a small hand pressed to his cheek, tears pricked his eyes. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause around them. That act, buried in memory for decades, had traveled further than he ever imagined. Some choices don't end with the fighting. Some acts ripple across time. Some lives never let you go. And in that moment he realized, even in a world of chaos and loss, one act of courage, no matter how small, can echo forever. If you want to support what we're doing here, liking the video or subscribing really helps us grow. It makes a real difference and helps us keep creating more stories like this.